The gorgeous backdrop of the Coast Mountain Range along the Pacific coast in Western Canada. We're in Whistler, British Columbia for the 53rd FIL Luge Championships. It's a tradition that dates back all the way to Oslo, Norway, where the first World Championships were held in 1955. Men's doubles run number one took place a little earlier today. It is the Austrian defending World Cup overall champions Stoy and Kindle in third. The six-time Olympic gold medalists, Tobis, Wendel and Alt from Bavaria. They're in second place, but it's a young German team, but a team that has been knocking down a lot of doors this year. Orlamundre and Gubitz from Oberhof. They are leading the way in search of their first ever World Championship. Hi again, everyone. I'm Tim Singer, pleased to be joined once again by Team Italy's Leon Felderer, and we'll have some special guests coming your way in just a few moments as we check out the conditions. Leon, it's a little icy out there.
Yeah, it's a little icy out there. No, but you mean the conditions are great. The weather's nice. The sun is gone now, so all shades are open, which is a good news for the athletes and for the spectators. So you really get to see the sport. And I mean, you know, the track is in incredible shape. The temperatures are great. The humidity is great. So that's perfect for racing.
One thing we haven't seen this weekend so far is a track record, which is interesting, you know, with the cold conditions, but that could still happen over the weekend. And first, we'll take another look as Leon takes us from the top to the bottom of this track in Whistler.
All right, so
POV run. It starts a little lower. They call it the doubles women's start. It's actually lower than the original start on this track.
Lower than the original start and the start for the Olympics. They start a few curves higher up there, but it was just not a good start for the doubles.
Okay, POV, I think the two of you call this Schlitten camera.
Yeah.
So tell us what we need to know, Leon, from top to bottom.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on up top, so not a lot of speed. Here's the bend away that we talked about in the first run. Corner 9 can be tricky from the double start, but usually not that big of a deal. Then this is the important transition. Nice and early entrance into 12, hard steer out, nice entrance into 13. And if you're online here, then it's a very nice track. If you're offline, it's painful. And yeah, you can see how far up the finish line is here in this track. That's an uphill section. So it's very important to be spot on at the exit of the finish corner 16, because otherwise you're going to lose a lot of time.
And we saw a lot of skidding down below, which is interesting. So this race could very well be won or lost through that 50-50 curve all the way down around curve 16. So you're going to check out the start list here in a second. Keep a close eye on the right side of your screen, because that's where you'll see the split time differentials. And things are relatively tight with roughly the first 5 sleds from Germany, Latvia, the United States, and Austria, all within about of a tenth of a second. So we'll set things up. We'll start from slowest to fastest, and we have a great opportunity right now to introduce to you our special guest. He's the defending world champion and certainly one of the best in the world over the last couple of years from Team Germany, Max Langenhahn. And Max, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Now let's talk a little bit about being a world champion and coming to Whistler. You are the defending world champion. Does that come with confidence or does it come with pressure?
I think it didn't come with pressure. I think in the end, everyone has to do whatever he can on the day X when the World Champs are starting. For me, it's tomorrow. And yeah, I think if you see like the streaks of Felix or other athletes, normally they didn't have pressure. Normally every athlete wants to try their best and wants to get like 2 100% runs on this day where the World Champs happen.
As we get ready for the first team from Ukraine, this is Hoy and Kaczmar. They were in 17th place after run number 1. So Max, you mentioned Felix. You know, one thing I have loved watching over the last couple of years is Felix is your biggest cheerleader. And for many years, maybe the Bavarians and the Thuringians, that wasn't the case. But Felix seems more excited when you win than you do. You've got to love what you've had to learn from Felix.
I think I can learn from him to cheer better in the end of the run in the finish area. But in the end, I think he had amazing last 10 years or last 15 years where he did win all titles, from the Olympic title to the World Champion title to European titles to overall titles. And I think he is enjoying, since, I don't know, 2022 or 2023, I think the sports of luge more and more, and he thinks, or I think he has a lot of fun with the younger athletes in the German team, especially with me and David and also Timon. And I think we get him like on a new level, because normally, like, you are like the 35-year-old, have 2 childs at home, and then they are coming like the young athletes who wants to have a good time and don't be like this 100% focused sometimes. But I think we get him to a level where he can also enjoy all the races.
Speaking of young athletes from your region, this is the first of 18 sleds here in run number 2. The leaders after the first run are the young Thuringians, Boromunda and Gubitz. Are you surprised, or are you expecting big things from them?
I was expecting big things from them. They had like the best times last year in the World Cup here, and they were pretty good also in the training runs. And normally, if they're putting like down 2 solid runs, I think they could be today the first time world champion.
Okay, I love your prediction.
Yeah.
And we have such a fan club from your region here, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But another point, yesterday you and Julia, you captured the mixed singles, so that's another world championship for you. But aside from being the defending world champion and silver the year before, you were the winner here at the World Cup in Whistler last year. You've got to like this track. What is it about this track that makes you comfortable?
I think I like the flow of the track. For me, sometimes it's a bit boring from the old woman starts, but in the end, I think it's super fun to have the good runs, because if you get in the flow and you're gaining the speed, it's pretty impressive for you as an athlete, and also, yeah, to see everyone going down pretty fast and having good runs is, like, for me, an enjoyable thing. And in the end, yeah, it's like a cool flow, not that big pressure curves. You can get easily in the flow of the track because you have long corners without that much pressure. Only in 12 where both Romanians had problems now, but the rest is normally really, really easy.
This is Honderek and Mocha. We saw it said earlier, Maverick and Iceman. They make their way with a little bit of effort to the finish line as they fall behind the Ukrainians here in run number 2. So, and Jessica actually put it best. She said, you've got to be careful not to get bored at the top, because if you do, things might bite you pretty quickly about midway down this track. And Wolfie said the same thing to me, Max. He said, it's all fine, but if you make any mistake after curve 11, you're done. Is that the case?
I think if you're doing also a mistake in the first curves, you have big problems to gain the time and also the speed back again, because every small mistake is gaining so much time here, or you're losing so much time here in Whistler. So you have to be like perfect in both of your runs to get like a medal here in the World Champs, and that's, I think, the whole situation is making more interesting. If you're seeing like the doubles after the first run, I think there are 2700s from place 1 to 11 or 12.
That's right.
So that's like normally show all the spectators outside and all who's watching luge how close it can be.
Okay, and a couple more questions. We saw, unfortunately, a really rough ride yesterday for your teammate David. Do you know if he'll be racing tomorrow?
Yeah, he will be racing tomorrow. I think he is physically completely okay. He didn't, broke his foot again or hurt it. But I think like the hurt of doing such a bad run is sometimes even bigger than the pain you're feeling in your foot, because he wants to win a medal with Merle. Normally they could do it,
right?
But in the end, like it's a learning process for the young athletes, and yeah, so in the end, I think he will get so many chances in the couple of years which are coming where he can win medals together with Mel.
And he's not the only athlete that we know of who has competed with a broken bone in his foot, is he?
No.
Not only you, Max, but I remember Tony Yeagert actually winning a World Cup race with a broken foot. One last question. We were at the awards ceremony yesterday where you took gold at your first World Championship race this weekend, and there seemed to be a loud, crazy crowd of family members cheering you on and singing songs at the awards podium. Who's here?
I think there are around 14 or 50 people here. They came all from Germany to normally skiing here, but also cheering for all the athletes here competing in the World Champs. And it's normally like some of my family members, my girlfriend, and some of my skiing club at home. And I think they have a good time, also a sponsor of me. And yeah, like normally they're changing from skiing to watching at the track and then skiing again, so they have a good time here.
That's great. Well, they'll be there to cheer on Max tomorrow as he tries to defend his title in men's singles competition. Max, we wish you the best of luck tomorrow. Enjoy your time with your family, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's Max Langenhahn, the world champion from Team Germany. And we continue now with our men's doubles competition. This is the team of Vervecek and Zami from Slovakia. Leon, you've been watching the race as Max and I were busy gabbing.
Yeah.
And, what's the trend so far in the early going?
Well, there's much more problems have happened in the second run as compared to the first run. So that's a good setup for some interesting races, because I think all of the sleds that came down so far all had big troubles.
And they don't reshape the track between runs.
No.
They water it down.
Yeah. You know, maybe the sun is gone now. The sun is gone, and it just maybe the ice is a little bit harder than the first run, and that can change a lot actually on how you feel sliding. But yeah, sometimes it's just human to make mistakes, obviously. So, but it's been interesting to see that, you know, all the 4 sleds that came down so far have been troubles. So we will see if that's a trend that keeps going, or if that's just mistakes that people made so far.
You were quick to point out the mistakes and the trouble of your teammates in run number 1, Rieder and Keinsfeldner from Team Italy. They had a disappointing 12th place finish last year at the World Championships. They've had some great results over the years. I don't believe they've ever won a World Cup race, but they've been on the podium a few times.
Yeah. They've been on the podium also in the World Championships in Sochi.
That's right.
In the sprint.
And that was one of their first years together.
Yeah.
These are 2 former singles athletes.
Well, Simon was always
Doubles.
doubles.
But I do believe I remember them from way back at the first Youth Olympic Games.
Yeah, he was winning the Youth Olympics with Florian Gruber, which was his double partners for a few years, and then he decided to quit, and then he teamed up with another guy, and then that guy decided to quit, and then he teamed up with Emmanuel, and it's been working out really well for them. This year it's not their best year, so they're struggling a lot to find the speed down the track. You know, they always show great lines. They're a little bit behind at the start this year as well. So they will definitely look to improve on the start and in terms of sled deck for the next year, for the upcoming Olympics or home Olympics, because those guys want to race for medals there.
Well, their run number 2 time was about 0.15 of a second faster than their first heat. And if you're new to World Cup or World Championship Luge, they're both 2 heat races. And it's a combined time, the cumulative time, rather, of the 2 runs, whereby the Olympics, if you tune in next year at this time, that will be 4 runs. You really need to keep it steady for a long time, and you can relate to that, right?
Yep. It's very icy.
Himilewski and Kowalewski of Team Poland, just out of the top 10 last year in Altenburg, Germany, the World Championships. And just out of the top 10 right now after run number 1 in 13th place. finished in 9th place in the top 10 at the Olympic Games in Yangjing, Beijing, China. That's a great result for them. They also had a podium, a 3rd place finish back in 2020 in a World Cup in Winterberg. It was a World Cup, you might remember, where a lot of nations chose
that was the one,
not to compete. But still, don't take that away from Poland.
No.
They were happy with that.
Podium is podium. Solid run here. That's a good run.
They open up a big lead over Italy, 0.2 of a second. They lose a little bit down at the bottom, but it's holding their spot, at least for the time being, with the Canadians waiting on deck. Wojciech Chmielewski, Jakub Kobylewski in the lead. Poland over Italy and Slovakia, 6 down, 12 still to go here in run number 2 of the World Championships.
Solid performance here in the World Championships for those guys. I'm sure they're going to be happy with that.
Poland will take part tomorrow in the team relay. It's been a very interesting season for them in team relay, with a lot of crashes and some missed paddles. So we'll see if they can keep it together and maybe have a top 7 or 8, which is not out of possibilities. I'll let you translate that.
I have no idea what he said. I don't know any Polish.
Devin Wardrope right there said earlier this week, there's no better feeling than racing in front of friends and family, and especially at home.
Yeah.
Win or lose, he said this will be really fun, and it's a great motivation. And for Team Canada, it's always a struggle, Leon, just to get funding.
Yeah.
And part of that funding is based on how their athletes perform in the big events.
That's right. Seems to be an issue, lately with the Canadian team getting funding. They're not joining us for the trip overseas. Some troubles there, unfortunately. It's a pity to see them make this mistake, because they definitely know how to slide on this track. They have it in them.
They only were up by 400 starting the run. They lost half of that lead.
Also here, you can see the ice scratch a bit.
This is going to be very tight, Leon. Will they hang on to the green? They do by 100th of a second.
Come on.
Canada will hold its spot in the top 12. I believe anything outside of the top 10 may be disappointing to them, but at least the smiles on their face suggest they're happy with the run.
Yeah, they're such nice guys. I don't know if they're happy with the run, because we saw a few mistakes that they made. But maybe they're just pushing it a little bit with the equipment, as they know how to slide, and if you know how to slide, you can risk more. And maybe they just pushed it a bit too far, that run. But overall, they had small mistakes. But it's good to see them to hold on to their spot that they had after the first run. So.
Cheers all around for the only Canadian entry in today's doubles competition. There are 2 from the United States, including the 2022 Olympians, Zach DiGregorio and Sean Hollander. Zach, originally from Massachusetts, both of them now live in the Lake Placid area, where one of the 2 American tracks are. They finished just off the podium in 4th place in yesterday's opening World Championship race, the mixed doubles.
Yeah. They were really close, actually, to medaling yesterday. They had a rough first run, unfortunately, as they seem to be having over the last couple of races. They have very good speed. They know how to slide. They have it in them. So it's just a matter of getting it down on race day, and that's sometimes the most challenging thing in luge, unfortunately, because you need to be spot on in these 2 runs. Otherwise, you're gonna have nothing to show for. But this one looks much, much better, this run.
They've had several top 10s this year on the World Cup. Most of those have been 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Same problem down there at the bottom. They had built up a big lead. I don't believe they gave away too much at the end, but probably a little bit.
They gave away a little bit, but not too much. But it's rough, if going into the race, you can do well because you have the speed, you know how to slide here, you like the track, you have a competitive start. And then just having a rough first run, that just, it's very, very discouraging. But you know, those guys are still so young. They have a long career ahead of them, and I'm sure it will be a very successful one. They just, yeah, just got to be patient and wait for the good runs on race day.
They were part of a World Championship team relay podium finish last year in Altenburg, but they will be hard-pressed to return to the relay tomorrow. Now the second of two from Italy as we move to the top 10. Ivan Nagler, Fabian Malaya. They're 2018 Olympians. For several seasons, Leon, your program from Italy had the benefit of one of the greatest starters of all time, Tatjana Hübner of Germany, helping with the starts. Is Tatjana still involved?
Unfortunately not, no. She has a new job, and that does not allow her to travel with us anymore and coach us at the start, which is unfortunate because we all really liked her and
benefited from her.
And she did a great job, and you need to have somebody that knows what's going on at the start, because you know you fall back into the old rhythm and the old mistakes. And that really helps if you have someone that's looking after that. But right now we have none.
The Italians holding on to 800ths of an advantage over the USA now down here at this Gold Rush section of the track. Finish curve, they do it a lot more cleanly than the USA. And the result is they open up the lead and hold their spot.
See, that would have been a 5th place finish in the first run.
38.54.
But they you know, they have the same problem as Zach had shown. They seem to always struggle to put down 2 clean runs on race day. It's such a difficult thing to do that on race day. You know, mistakes happen so quickly on a luge set, especially on a double sled, and having to have that happen always during the races, it's very tough on yourself. Yeah, it's a pity for the first run. That's a good summary for the race.
Yeah, that's the sport though, in a nutshell, and a bit of a pity for run number 1 for these two. They're the defending world champions, Gott and Schupp from Team Austria, both 23 years old. I believe that still qualifies them for the under 23 competition, but they don't appear to be on that list, so we'll just assume they're not qualified.
Team Austria flying into the track. This is Gott and Schupp straight into the green.
Falling behind, Let's see if they can. Losing a bit of time compared to the Italians. Lines look good. Also had some troubles in the first run, if I remember correctly. This is a very solid run.
Just off the pace in second place, 700ths back of the leading Italians. So unofficially, it's Italy leading over Austria. And then the Americans are in 3rd place. We're having a little bit of an issue with our computer timing at our end, but what you are seeing on the screen, I believe, is correct as they cross the finish line. Gott and Schupp out in front. We're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, I think, and just look at our papers because our timing computers are down. But we make our way now to the next team, grabbing those handles at the start. A bit of a surprise for this Latvian team of Ševiks, Mikliševics, and Lukas Kras. They've had some good results over the years, but we haven't seen them often in the top 8 of any World Cup this season.
Yeah, Lukas been out with an injury. He hurt himself in Lillehammer already, and has been battling the injury ever since. So it's good to see them come back, compete together again.
The best they could do before the injury was a 9th place at the opening race in Lillehammer.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see them, you know, at the comeback race to be competitive already, because they're only 2 tenths behind the leading Germans after the first run. So if they are able to keep it clean, have a good run, enjoy and relax sliding, and they could do well. But it's just a little bit off, Looked like they had a small skid going into 13, and that just sends you up right at the end. So it's a bit shaky. So yeah.
Fourth place for the time being as Nagler and Malaya. They ride up the elevator a little bit here in run number 2.
They could, yeah. That was a competitive time. Yeah, just too strong of a roll back, and the sled starts skidding up at the end. But he was right back online, but it's just so much work that you need to do, and you know, wherever you skid, you lose a lot of time. And if it's that tight, like it is here, then it's just too much.
Italy, Ivan Nagler, Fabian Malaya enjoying Italy's best moments of this World Championship so far as they've moved up several spots. But this is the winningest all-time World Champion doubles slider, Tony Agert, with that shield he took last year off, retired briefly from the sport, was training the United States as a coach, as well as trying to get his helicopter pilot or airplane pilot license. And now Tony back in the sport with his younger teammate Flo Mueller. They won the World Cup opener. Tony took 5 World Championship titles during his career with Sasha Bennigan.
A legend in this sport. He's won 5 World Championships.
Hey, I say it in the microphone, and we hear Mark Hatton, the track announcer, say it right afterwards.
They had a not so good run in the first heat, but they had good speed, so that gives them hope for the second run, and they're much cleaner than they were in the first run. They're building speed, yeah.
Tony Agert and one of 3 men named Mueller in today's race. They hold on to their spot, 900ths. They finally knock Nagler and Malaya out, but their advantage, let's see, their advantage was almost 1/10 of a second. It was about a dead heat between those two in run number 2.
And Nagler had a 36 and they had a 35. But they gave a little bit of time away right before the finish line, as they were hitting walls in the outrun. But that time would have put them into 4th place after the first heat.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it, that when the sun sets, the track often gets quicker.
Yep.
And that's what we're experiencing right now. So we've had 12 come down. Now we move to the top 6. These are those knocking on the door as we see it for the podium position. This team getting ready, the first of the Austrian teams, or the second of the 3, Mueller and Frauscher. They're only 18 thousandths of a second up on Agert and the other Mueller after run number 1. They're only 1/10 of a second off of the podium. So let's see what these 3-time third-place finishers this year on the World Cup can muster for Austria.
Thousandths of a second ahead, Mueller-Frauscher off that start.
For them, it's been really like a breakthrough season. So they sped up a lot for this season. They were usually lagging a bit behind the other 2 doubles last season. But it seems like that this season they are actually becoming the leading one, which is great to see.
Well, Stoy and Kindle have had some good results. Yeah. They do lead the way after run number 1, but it's a heated battle. 3 Austrian teams, as they fall behind Germany. 3, incidentally, have World Cup victories in doubles. 4 different men's singles from Austria have won World Cup races. So the depth of this program is just incredible.
That's unmatched. The depth of that program, that's just unmatched.
And there have been very few Olympic games where Austria has not been on the podium in men's doubles. Pence and Fischler, Stoy and Kohler, the Linger brothers with 2 Olympic gold medals. It's just such a great tradition in the Tyrolean Alps outside of Innsbruck. All right, next up we have the last of the USA sleds. Yesterday, the United States became the only team other than Germany and Austria to make it onto the podium on day 1 of the World Championships. That was Emily Sweeney and Johnny Gustafson. We'll see them later in singles, but here's a young American doubles team coming off of a junior world championship last year. Marcus Mueller and Ansel Haugshaw. They make it down here safely, and they will automatically capture the under-23 world championship, the race within a race. But let's see if they can also put a little pressure on their senior competitors still to come.
What a season it has been for them.
Of the USA into the lead.
This season.
They've had some of the fastest runs around the world, but in World Cup Luge you need to put two together, and that is always a challenge, especially for young athletes.
Yep. They're very fast, but they also do crash a lot sometimes. I know they have been having rough times at certain tracks because they are new to most of them, and you know, especially for the new start heights, it's something different racing for juniors and on the senior circuit, because obviously the start heights are much higher. And it's a pity to see them fall back now, but I think they're still going to be happy with their performance here, because it's, you know, it's their first full season, and what they pulled off this season was just incredible. And
they still have a couple of more races to come in Asia, but a top 6 guaranteed, and a place in tomorrow's team relay as well for Mueller and Haugshaw, coming off of a 13th place finish as teenagers last year in their first world championship.
Some hits out of 16.
Really dry.
Was pretty close, yeah. Only 300s.
Did they drop back 2 spots?
2 spots, yeah.
Right, so a top 7
so
guaranteed. Right. So our apologies.
But they're world champion. They became world champion. So
they are
under 23.
And it's a great progression from under 20 or from junior world champion to under 23 world champion. You know what's next.
Yeah.
Here is the Latvian team of Martins Bats and Roberts Plum. They have a pair of World Cup victories this year and sit second place in the World Cup overall standings with 2 races remaining. They also come off of an Olympic medal in 2022 in team relay. Both of them got married last summer, so still celebrating a honeymoon of sorts around the world on tour.
Wow, stellar run here for those guys. This could actually be huge. They are able to keep it clean here at the outrun.
They are
and
opening
it looks like they are.
A gigantic lead. 1800s up on Egert and Mueller. They began the run, well, about a 10th up, so they've doubled that advantage, but more to the point, with the Austrians coming up next, only 9,000ths of a second separate this team from the next to go, and it looks like they did very little in the way of errors.
They did very little in the way of errors. That's a good way of putting it. It was an amazing run out of those 2 guys. This could actually put them, that put them in a good position and put some pressure on the guys that are yet to come. You know, they're just 1 spot off the podium, and if you know those guys, they actually want to win the race. They don't just want to podium. So they're very, very competitive guys.
Now the defending World Cup overall champions, Thomas Stoy, an Olympic medalist, teamed up with Wolfie Kindle at the start of last year, and they took the season's title. Now they're looking to be on the podium here at the World Championships for the 2nd year in a row. I was talking with Toby Vendel yesterday, Leon, and he said when you're looking for mistakes, you'd be better off listening for mistakes, because as the sleds and doubles enter curve 9, you're going to hear whether it's clean or not. Where is that? That was just where they hit, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's where they were. Yeah, if you can hear the sled scratch or make loud sounds, that's always another good sign. Oh, an interesting line here into 12. Let's see if he can make it up. Nope. I don't think that's going to be enough, even on an Austrian sled. Just a lit.
So Latvia captures its first podium position of these World Championships. Martins Bats and Roberts Pluma officially on the podium as the Austrians drop back 1 spot. They're certainly not out of it yet, but at the moment, they're on the outside looking in. Wolfie Kindle does the paddles, but he doesn't give it his all because he has been fighting upper body injuries for a good chunk of this season. And he's been on the podium in both singles and doubles. We'll see that man right there, Wolfgang Kindl, again tomorrow in men's singles. So a sigh
probably
of,
in the team again.
That's right, could be a sigh of relief for Martin Spots. But now you're looking at the greatest team, perhaps any discipline in the history of this sport. For Tobias Wendel and Tobias Alt, their 3 world championships are second to Egert and Benneken, but when you add in their 5 silver medalists and their 2 bronze medals, you're talking a record 10 overall world championship medals, more than Leitner Resch, more than Klaus Behrendt, more than all of the greats in this history of the sport. And by the way, Leon, they also have 6 Olympic gold medals to go with it.
6 Olympic gold, yeah. That's just insane for how long they've been on such a high level competing.
3 race victories on the World Cup to enter these World Championships, so they are certainly on a roll. And well into the green now, 0.08 of a second.
They're gonna look to put up some pressure on the young guys that are, they're losing actually a bit of time compared to.
This is gonna be tight.
It's gonna be very close.
And they're not perfect. They move into the red, so it will not be World Championship number 4. And Germany is not yet guaranteed the top of the podium. Another German team awaits at the top. But when you've won 6 gold medals and 10 podiums in the World Championships, you can still smile down there at the bottom.
You have a guaranteed medal even if you don't see the number 1 in the finish. You always want to see the number 1, obviously, because you don't want to be worse than whatever you were in the first run. But I think this is one of the situations where it's actually bearable, losing 1 spot if you're still on the podium.
It's a record extending 11th World Championship podium.
It's crazy.
For this pair of 37-year-olds who have done so many great things in their career. The reaction from Martins Bots and Roberts Plume, they are loving the fact that they are moving further and further up the elevator. They had never even won a podium at the World Championship, so this is big for them. Now will they win the overall, the top of the podium? It's left up to a young German team with only 2 career World Cup victories. Hannes Arlemunder, Paula Gubitz. Earlier, Max Langenhahn predicted a victory for his young teammates. Now let's see how they can follow through. They have a big lead to start things off, Leon.
That's a good lead to go into the race. A competitive start time. Very nice cut into the first corner. As of right now, it looks like a perfect run so far.
Holding steady. Now, clearly, the Latvians were very fast on the bottom part of the track. That's why the Tobies could not catch them. But they're extending the lead.
They are, but they need to be... Oh, were there some troubles? I'm not sure.
Well, there's not enough track left for them to give it away. You're looking at a young first-time World Championship team, Hannes Arlemunder and Paula Gubitz. A tremendous breakthrough performance for these Germans.
What a performance. What a season it has been for those 2 guys.
Up and down, right?
Up and down.
9th place, followed by a victory, followed by a 14th, then a 2nd place. But they peaked at the right time. And
they peaked at the right time,
Max Langenhahn, the first to
so
greet
good
them.
For them.
I would call that a bit of a surprise. Not a shock, but a surprise.
Yep. Definitely.
Well, they will be celebrating in Thuringia, central Germany today, and a lot of people will be celebrating right here in Whistler because seemingly all friends and family have made their way.
There's a big group of German guys here,
Yeah, the flags are flying, the songs we're singing, and the flags are flying here in the background.
So they made sure that they made the trip worthy. It's amazing.
And they get a hug from two men who were probably their heroes growing up. And then on this day, they are the better of the two pairs.
Yep.
Final results in a bit of a surprise. Hannes Orlamunder and Paula Gubic protect their first run lead and win their first ever World Championship. The Latvians take a podium at the Worlds for the first time. The Tobys podium number 11, while the Austrians falling just off of the pace. Tony Yeager with a great showing in the top 5. You've got a leaderboard littered with Americans as well as Latvians, and the top Canadians, Wardrobe and Zajanski, sitting in 12th place here at the World Championships on their home track. So we've got a little bit of traffic to take care of as we'll look to get the winner presentations, and we'll hope to hear some interviews a little later on. So let's just pay this off. We've got another special guest coming your way in just a moment, but let's enjoy the Germany celebration for a moment or two. You know, one thing, Leon, that's been great, and I've talked about this a lot this year, and we talked about it with Max in the interview earlier, is the fact that Germany seems to reunify now in sports. Yeah. About 35 years after the country actually did reunify, because there's a lot of harmony among the athletes from all of the regions.
Yeah, they seem to have a very good relationship within that team, which is obviously very helpful because you travel a lot with your team. You see them like 24/7 during the winter months. So it's obviously helpful to have a good relationship with your teammates, and you work together. It's a single sport, it's an individual sport, but at the end of the day you need to work together, you need to do your research together, innovate together, help each other out with lines, with training, and I think they do that in a fantastic way.
So once again, the gold medal goes to the young German team of Hannes Orlamunder and Paula Gubic. Silver to Latvia on the podium for the first time, joining the Americans, the Germans, and the Austrians with World Championship medals still in the early going. And the World Championship bib, which they will wear proudly, I believe, for 2 years now, since we will not reconvene until we're in Innsbruck in the winter of 2027. So that is going to be quite an honor for them. And Hannes looks like he's in a little bit of disbelief. So that's the situation. A little bit of a slow-mo reprise of these medal winners. But as we get set now for the women's doubles competition, we'd like to introduce special guest, an Olympic medalist in his own right from Team Canada, now the director of sport for this rebuilding Canadian program, Sam Edney. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Tim, thanks for joining me. Leon, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So Sam, first on that topic of rebuilding, this has been to me, a process that will take a lot of patience. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take some time. It's going to be something we have to remain patient about, but it's also something to be excited about because we've got a young group of athletes that are showing a lot of promise, and we've had some good times in the past, and we're just looking to build on top of that and take that standard that was set, in the previous few quadrennials and carry that forward. And we've had some challenges along the way, but we're looking forward to the future and what it brings.
Certainly, and I know you've had to make a lot of tough decisions on what athletes come to what races, and even really what races you go to. It has to be a bit of a strategy, right?
Yeah, we're taking a sort of a fine comb approach to things, looking at which races we can sort of get our best bang of our buck for our bang for our buck, I guess, and that's what we're looking at, is where those critical points are that we need that run volume for those athletes, this breed of athletes that we have right now, and where we can really get them the most exposure for what's going to carry them into this next 2030 quadrennial.
All right, and we'll get right back to you in a second, Sam, but we set the stage here for the women's doubles. 12 teams, actually only 11 have made it into run number 2. So you check out the start list, and we count them down, and really the competition basically begins with that American team who won a World Cup earlier in the season, but they'll be chasing 5 others, and it'll be an uphill battle down this slickery track as it's very tight. second, third, and fourth. But can anyone stop the Austrians? Egla and Kip, who not only won last year's World Championship, but they take a World Cup 6-race winning streak into this race. So Sam, we talk about a study of patience. A lot of people know that really this was an event here 4 years in the making, because 2021 was supposed to be when Whistler was going to host the World Championships, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know, something that's been a long time coming. I think this group has looked forward to it. You know, some faces have probably changed from we thought we're going to be racing at those original World Championships. But, you know, they're excited to be here, this group of athletes. They've had no shortage of training runs on this track. They've, you know, for the most part, grown up and raced on this track. And so I think it's a true honor to be able to race a World Championships at home in front of your family and friends, and they're looking forward to it. I'm you know, eager to watch the finale here for these women's doubles. It's
Team Poland starting things off in 11th place after run number 1, Damovic and Pivgotska. They had a time of 39.811. If you've never watched World Cup or World Championship Luge, then I'll tell you it's 2 runs. They don't start fresh. The clock will pick up right where they left off. So Sam, just one more about the Whistler World Championships. I'm sure it took a lot to set up an event like this. Just what are some of the bullet points to make all of this happen, and happen successfully, I might add?
Yeah, we have a great events committee, and our events manager Cindy Neal sort of led the charge, and I know it's been a year and a half in front of her on her desk, and the build up to it was, there's no shortage of work. I mean, late hours, late days, a lot of planning, a lot of meetings, a lot of Zoom meetings. And I think it's really just about hosting the world and hosting the teams here. And, you know, we lucked out with the weather. You know, some of the locals would say that they painted a fresh, you know, landscape for everyone to be here with all the snow-capped trees, and it's just a beautiful place to be to start. And then we're having a great competition. Track's in incredible shape, and weather, you know, shaped out. Maybe a bit cold for some people, for the spectators, but for the athletes, I think it's just coming together perfectly.
For Team Poland, they cross in a second run time of 39.506, 119.317 in their World Championship 2-run effort. We'll see them tomorrow in Team Relay. Well, we've got a moment. Sam, I know we have a very somber point and a shout out we would like to do to a pair of members of your Canadian program.
Yeah, right. You know, unfortunately, we've got one of our Canadian Luge family members that's going through a bit of a challenge. Ariane Jones and Jeff Christie recently had a baby boy, River, so a healthy baby boy. But unfortunately, Ariane's sort of faced some health challenges after that birth, and so really just sending our love to Ariane back in Calgary, and encouraging, you know, all the Luge family in the international scene to just send all your love and energy and positive vibes to Ariane and Jeff. She goes through some health challenges, so we're really thinking of her, keeping her close to our hearts and our minds, and just keep going, Jonesy, fight, and we love you.
No question about it. Very well put, Sam, because that's not only a Canadian thing. We've all learned over the years that the whole international group is a family. That's a cliche, but we all have experiences where that is very much a true axiom. This is the Ukrainian team of Olena Shtechka and Alexander Molk. 10th place after run number 1. We'll leave you on a much more positive note, Sam. You were probably, and I'm just guessing here, one of the first luge athletes to go down this Whistler track, and may still have more runs down here than anyone ever. So for you, what are the joys and what are the challenges?
This track is one of the most exhilarating of the circuit now. I think Leon's shaking his head, but whoa, there's a big hit. You know, really, this track is with this modified start now, it's still one of the fastest, but you have to really find that finite amount of work. You got to do the least amount of driving and really let the sled run and feel comfortable getting those pushes on and off the corners. And really it's about enjoying it as well. You know, the speed, there's not many tracks where you get that rush as you go down the track, and you know, in a track walk the next morning, you might walk through corner 15 or 16 and see how long it is, but when you're on the sled going through that corner, the rush and how fast it goes, it really just puts things into perspective. So you know, best of luck to all the athletes this weekend still competing, and it's you know, going to be a great end of the racing here.
I don't know if you noticed, but Leon was listening very closely when you were talking about the keys to success on this track.
all the tips that I can
He's
get.
got it. You've got it tomorrow, man. Just let it run and enjoy the speed. But yeah, Leon's been sliding well, and I know he's going to be ready to go tomorrow. So good luck, buddy. And
thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sam, thanks very much. That's Olympic silver medalist Sam Edney, the sport director for Team Canada. And here is the Romanians, Raluca Strămăturaru, Mihaela Manolescu. For Raluca, not only did she have an incredible 7th place finish in women's singles at 2018 Olympic Games, she also had a 7th place finish with Mihaela last year in doubles at the World Championship in Altenburg. Clearly, that's one of their best ever.
Yeah, it must be.
Straight into the green. Raluca, one of the most experienced athletes on the circuit.
Just losing a bit of time compared to the Polish team. Pretty solid lines here from Raluca.
They remain in the green as Raluca makes her way to the finish line. 1:06 the advantage. Romania over Poland. Really one of their better runs of the season.
Yep. No, it was a good run. They had actually they had 2 good runs
today, right? So this track is to their liking.
Yeah. So now they can do no worse than 8th.
No worse than 9th.
9th.
'53rd World Championships continue here now in Canada with the young Canadian team. Beatty Podolsky and Kaylee Allen, 19 and 21 years old. They're one of several of this group of 11 here in run number 2 that are battling for the race within a race, the under 23 championships. Good hard paddles from a young team, but one that clearly has some confidence on this track. The Canadians have spent a lot of time here, especially during the holiday break, not to mention the preseason.
Yeah, they have a bunch of runs down here this track. They also missed the last World Cup in Oberhof to train here, get in some more runs. As it's their first year, so they still try to gain some experience, obviously. But I think they've been showing some great sliding already in the first run, and this looks also like a solid run. So they're definitely going to be happy with the performance here at the Home World Championships.
Bit of skidding around there at the finish, but a huge advantage over Romania. Still trying to get it together. We heard 3 ows from you, Leon.
Yeah.
That is, you have had some experience with that, I take it.
No, I was quite lucky, but knock on wood. But I just know that this outrun hurts so much, and Beatty's already injured her leg a bit, so I hope that she's okay. Yeah, but it's very painful.
Canadians are coached by Robert Fegg, a long-time German athlete, and I believe a junior world champion, and he has also coached the Americans over the years. And on the subject of Americans, Canada's assistant coach is American 3-time Olympian Duncan Kennedy.
But they're happy, they're laughing, so they seem to be okay, which is great. I should be happy with that performance. They did well.
First ever, youngest or second youngest team in this race. Not too bad. Anda Upait and Zana Kaluma ready to go now for Latvia. Latvia with 2 teams here in the top 7. These 2 have won World Championship podium, I should say. They have a silver medal from just last year at the Worlds in Altenburg.
This was actually the sled of surprise for me in the first run, because they had a very good speed. They just had problems down at the bottom of the track. So I'm super excited to see if they can keep it clean this run and what time they will go. And that just seems to be like somebody that enjoys the big events and, you know, makes a step up and a step forward in the big events. And this run is looking much cleaner than the first run.
0.2 of a second their lead over the Canadians. A great run for the first of two from Latvia, protecting their spot in the top 7, and a bit of an emotional comeback for Anda Upaita, who was part of an awful crash last year prior to the World Cup in training. Right down at curve 16, where we saw Alina Stechkiv just have that hit.
Yeah, it's a scary spot to have a crash because it's very fast. And you don't really feel the speed, you don't see the speed until something goes wrong. And if things go wrong, they can go wrong badly here.
Yeah, we talked about that during the last race, and Wolfgang Kindle gave me that great quote. Wolfie, one of few who actually took part from the very high start prior to the 2010 Olympic Games. And he said it just can happen really quickly.
Yeah.
The Americans up next. They're third in the World Cup standings. It's been a very consistent season for Siobhan Forgan and Sophia Kirkby. Sophia's mom not able to make the trip here, but we saw earlier she's on the YouTube chat watching with great interest. And of course, Sophia dedicating this entire season to her father, who passed away just prior to the season. And they do it here with a start record as they look to move into the top 5.
Last year's World Championships.
It's incredible for them. They're such good starters. Let's see if they can keep it clean here down at the bottom. And I think we will. If they can keep it clean, then we will probably see a very, very fast time from those guys, for those two.
1/10 of a second up at the last interval. They open that up now to 13. I'm not sure if it's enough to put pressure on any of the top 3, but it could move them up a spot or 2. That's a good run, 38.945. That would have been just in 3rd place in run number 1.
Yeah, they definitely have the speed. They have the start, which is so helpful in this track. It's so important to have a good start. And they did it in an incredible manner by pulling a start record. Very nice saddle. Such a nice saddle. You see, you know, the sled is all moving in the same direction. No skids, no sideways, nothing. That looks very, very good.
They've impressed a lot of people this season on the World Cup, and they're in search actually of their World Championship podium number 3, as they captured bronze last year in Altenburg, and then 3 years ago at the very first Women's Doubles World Championship. A little bit of a fan club back in the distance. Now another young Latvian team, Marta Robanica and Kitja Bogdanova. Not only are they young on paper, when you look at them, Leon, they look like they're just out of 8th grade. These are two very young-looking athletes.
Yeah, they are still very, very young. But you know, I'm so impressed with how they slide, because it looks like they've been sliding for such a long time, with the amount of confidence and you know, calmness that they show on the sled. It's just very impressive to see.
5th in the World Cup standings, including a pair of podiums. This is their first ever time racing here in Whistler. It looks like they're not going to catch the Americans, but not a bad run as they fall back just 1 spot. So Latvia with a top 6 as the USA holds out its hopes of perhaps sneaking onto the podium here in the Women's Doubles World Championship in Whistler, Canada. Latvia earlier, in case you just tuned in, earlier captured silver in the men's doubles, so already on the podium.
Yep.
We'll talk about the podium in a moment, Leon, but we have 4 teams remaining, and your teammates are getting ready at the top. They absolutely have the chance to get onto the podium. Their advantage over the Americans, about 0.06 of a second. And here they are now, Andrea Vetter and Marion Oberhofer. They had a 3rd place, or just off of the podium, in 4th place last year at the World Championship. They did capture bronze 2 years ago at the Worlds in Germany.
some small struggles to get into the sled, and only a 39 on the start, which is a bit slower than the first heat start time. That's not an ideal way to start into the second heat. So let's just keep it clean now.
Well, they're bleeding a little, a 1/10 of a second, or a 100th of a second,
Yeah.
I should say, the difference between Italy and the US. Now they're opening it up a little bit. So trending very nicely for the South Tyroleans.
Very nice lines.
Two former singles athletes who paired up together 3 years ago, and they are now one spot away from the podium.
Yes.
And Leon, that was a tremendous display of speed
That was
down
good.
at the bottom.
That was very, very good.
You thought, I'm suspecting for a second there, that that would have been bleeding away and continuing.
Yeah, it was good to see them come back. You know, that you lose a bit of time. They had a 400 slower start than the Americans did, so it's obviously that they bleed a bit of time, but they were able to stop the bleeding quite quickly and build a lot of speed actually at the bottom of the track. So that was actually a very, very good time and a super nice run. So they're going to be happy with it. Hope it's going to be enough for a medal, you know. That's they really earned it with those two runs.
This pair has 200ths of a second on the Italians entering run number 2. Look at the focus on the face of a former singles junior world champion and two-time doubles world champion, Jessica Degenhardt. Jessica, 22 years old, from Dresden, has an apartment in Altenburg where she trains on that, her home track. And from Winterberg, Cheyenne Rosenthal. They were a bit of a revolutionary team as far as Germany's concerned, because for years and years and years it was sliders from the same region pairing up. But they have been a great team with 2 world championships. Last year, Leon, a very disappointing Worlds.
Yes.
I don't believe it was a crash, but
No.
it was the closest thing you could have to a crash.
Yeah, they just had a big struggles out of Curve 9. It's a very big challenge for the doubles athletes in Altenburg, but I'm sure that they will not have those kind of troubles today here. It's just a matter of finding the right setup and putting a good run down here in the second run.
They took a bronze yesterday in the mixed doubles event with the Tobys, Vendel and Alt. So now looking for their second podium of the weekend at the World Championships. So far, so good.
So far, so good. Very clean looking run. Oh, they're building a lot of speed. Wow.
So with 2 sleds remaining, Germany has put 1 on the podium. First track record of the weekend.
Ooh, that's
a 38.806.
Yep.
This is nearing the end of our 4th race of the weekend, and we have a track record, as we've had, Leon, at just about every stop this season.
That was definitely a run where you could see that they were going for not just the medal, but definitely for the gold one. They want the big one, and you could really see that with the way they were sliding. Jessica was pushing it with her head. You know, they had great position on the sled, a good start, and that was a phenomenal run and a phenomenal time. So I'm super excited to see what the other 2 doubles down are now doing, because they put a lot of pressure on them by having that kind of time.
Certainly did. So 2 Germans, one from Saxony, one from the Sauerland, are in front, and 2 more Germans, one from Thuringia and one from Bavaria, covering all of the regions today at the World Championships. Here they are, Diana Eiteberger and Magdalena Machina. A first-year pairing for these 2 athletes. Eiteberger in front there, one of the tallest athletes in the sport, an Olympic silver medalist in singles and a 2-time bronze medalist as well at the World Championships in singles. Well, they have quite an act to live up to here.
Yeah. Falling a bit behind.
They've lost about 400ths of a second on their teammates, now about 600ths. So advantage for the moment. Now, will they hang on to the podium? I believe they will. We should see a number 2 here, because Diana did some nice driving down below. And in fact, they picked up a little bit of time on the track record holders at the bottom.
Yeah, they gave a little bit of time away on the start because they're not as fast as Degenhardt and Rosenthal on the start. but they were able to stop the bleeding and pick up some time at the bottom, which is good to see. Yeah,
it's such an endless pool of talent in Germany, and earlier Orlamunder and Gubitz, these two youngest of Germans, they win the World Championship, and now along with Diana, Lena Machina, first ever season on the World Cup, and she is a World Championship no worse than silver medal.
Yeah.
Amazing. A smiling Diana will join us later on today to help with the commentary of women's singles.
That's so good to see. They've been having such a rough season. So good to see them on the podium here at the World Champs now.
Now already on course. This is the best team in the world, bar none, any discipline in luge this season. Zelina Egla and Lara Kipp of Team Austria. They have won 6 races in a row heading into this World Championship. They're looking to extend that streak while successfully defending last year's World Championship, won in Germany.
She's losing a bit of time, but we know Zelina knows how to slide, and she's such a bottom gainer. She knows how to pick up speed at the bottom of the track, but this got to be very, very close.
Down to the bottom, briefly into the red, but they hold it onto the green, and
that's so close.
Austria successfully defends its World Championship. Germany takes the other 2 spots on the podium, with Italy in 4th, the USA in 5th. That's not a surprise, because Leon, those 5 teams in the top 5 are the 5 best in the world.
Yes, definitely.
And this is, without question, the best in the world.
Wow, what? That is so good racing. From red back to the green. Wow, in the last few meters. That's what we love to see.
That was you remember when you and I were covering on the opening weekend of the season, I believe that race was won by the USA, but it was the same kind of deal, back and forth between red and green. No one had any idea. It wasn't one of those slam dunk victories.
And we just love to see it. And they were obviously hoping to see the red light in the see the red light for the
you see the disappointment on Jessie's face. And there is a reason for that, Leon. I mean, she has the 2 World Championships. Both of these teams now do. But if you've been following the World Cup this year, this is now the 7th time this season that Degenhardt Rosenthal have finished in 2nd place behind Egla and Kipp.
Yeah, they're tough to beat, the Austrians. We have to say, the way they're sliding is just incredible. The way of calmness they have on the sled is just unmatched, and everything seems so in control. So they don't ever mess up, basically, if that makes sense. They always have good runs, and they have good speed. So mix that together, and you will have what we have right now.
Yeah, they never mess up. Not since run number 1 of the opening race of the season.
That's right.
They've won not only every race, but pretty much every individual run. Although the track record now belongs to the Germans.
Yeah, exactly. So the Germans definitely had it in there here, which they will be probably happy to see, that they were like faster than the Austrians, if that makes sense. But they just need to be perfect twice to win the race. But I think they're also going to be happy with the 2nd and 3rd place here in the World Championships in Whistler.
International Luge Federation President Einars Fogalis passing out the stuffed animals to 6 happy athletes. I would say, Leon, if you were going to make predictions before this race, you certainly would have had Jessie and Cheyenne and Selena and Lara there. Diana and Lena, that's a bit of a surprise.
It's a bit of a surprise. Yeah, as we talked about, they had a rough season, like lots of downs, a couple of ups. So they're very inconsistent, I would say. But we know if they make it down there fast, so it was just a matter of them making it down twice in a row on race day, and that's what they did. And if you know that beforehand, then you know that she's in the mix for the medals. But in women doubles, there's like 5 to 6 sleds that can all compete for the podium. So it's actually very tight and very interesting race, too, I have to say.
And I sound like a broken record, but one thing very cool about this podium is you have all 4 track regions of Germany represented. with those 4 athletes. But the women of the hour, once again, defending their title, Selina Egla, Laura Kipp. Selena's parents have come all the way from Innsbruck or Rhin to watch the race here, and they will hope for double the pleasure in just about a half hour, as Madeline Egla is one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win the World Championship in the women's singles. But closing the book here on the doubles competition, 3rd place, Diana Eitberger and Lena Machina. As a pair, this is their first podium ever at the World Championships. In fact, for Diana, it's her first ever podium at the World Championships as a doubles athlete. So her story just continues to be written. 2nd place to Jessica Degenhardt and Cheyenne Rosenthal, and the victory to the pre-race favorites. Not a surprise, but no shortage of thrill for Selina Egla and Laura Kipp. Standing by for some interviews down below. Let's hear from our first athletes.
Congratulations, Team Germany, Eitberger, Machina. How were your runs today?
Yeah, the first run we had a little problem in the corner 9, but the second run was very good, and yeah, I'm very overwhelmed.
Olympic medalist previously, but now this is your first year together. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, the beginning of the season were so tough for us. We had a lot of crashes and mental breakdowns, and now we're so happy that in the end of the season we can have a happy end.
Amazing. Congratulations, guys.
Love to hear Lena do part of that interview, as Diana's going to be talking quite a bit over the next few hours. And how about Jessica and Cheyenne? You saw the look on Jessie's face, so it'll be interesting to hear her reaction of 2nd place.
Yes.
Wie war dein Lauf? Yes.
Kann ich auf Deutsch reden?
You don't want to. All right, congratulations, Degenhardt, Rosenthal. I know last year at Worlds was a tough finish on the home track, but this year finishing silver is a big deal. How are you feeling?
Very nice. We are proud to be here with the silver medal. Yeah, the 16 was not so good, but it's fine, and yeah, we are proud.
But still a track record. Did you? That's incredible.
Yeah, sure.
We're like, it's all right. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations today. Hey, good job.
A little bit of mixed results. There was no doubt what their goal was coming into it, and they were probably feeling good after that track record. But the victory goes for the 2nd year in a row at the World Championships for Team Austria. It's Selina Egla and Laura Kipp. Incidentally, all 3 of these nations as we go down to the interview.
Team Austria, Egla, Kipp, back-to-back world champs. How are you feeling right now?
It's unbelievable. Like being a world champion at the 2nd time, it's crazy because after this training week, we wouldn't expect it at all. So yeah, I don't know what happened today.
Amazing. And how were your runs in training versus today?
Training wasn't that good. We always had problems with 13. One run was good, the next one was not so good. So we were a little bit afraid that today could be one of the not so good runs, but luckily it was.
You guys put it together. Congratulations, Team Austria.
Austrian celebration here in Whistler. The only question that remains on this day 2 of the World Championships is, will it be a sibling celebration, as Madeline Egla, Julia Talbotz, and the best of the women's lugers in the world are getting ready to tee it up at the top of the track. As we get set in just about 15 minutes, for those of you watching live, we will rejoin action with the women's singles competition. Until then, our thanks to Leon Felderer of Team Italy. And Leon, the best of luck.
You're so welcome. I enjoyed so much.
Yeah, great luck tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
That's Leon Felderer. I'm Tim Singer. Great pictures, as always, from our FIL television crew. So until we meet again in just a few minutes, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back soon in Whistler.
All right, Germany, Wendell Arlt. I know maybe not the race that you wanted. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, we feel now very good. The 2 runs wasn't that good that we hoped for, but in the end, it's a medal for us, and still counting medals since 2013 in the big event, and we came proud of us. Yeah.
Amazing. And what is it like to see your younger teammates become world champions? What you guys have done so many times.
Yeah, that's so great. It's so amazing. They were so fast here. Every run when they come here to the track, everyone was pretty fast, and we know when they can make 2 good runs, they will be top of the podium, and it was time for them to win, and yeah, that's great. It's amazing.
Amazing. Congratulations, you guys. Bots Pluma, you jumped up a few spots. How are you feeling right now?
Wonderful, great feeling to race here, great feeling to be vice champions. It's the highest place we have been in World Championships, so it's a big achievement for us, and we are really thrilled.
Amazing, congratulations, guys. Okay, Orlando Gubitz, our world champions. This is so cool. You guys were 4th overall last year. What does this feel like to come up a world champion?
In the first year when we were here, we were 5th place. Last year we were 3rd place, and we said maybe it's this year it's the 1st place, and now it's amazing to be world champion on the straight. We love to slide here. We had a lot of fun there, and now the miracle has happened.
Amazing, you guys totally deserve it. What do you think contributes to you guys winning today?
Oh yeah, I just already said it. I wear the same underwear than yesterday. Yesterday it worked, so today, what could go wrong? So yeah.
We use all the good luck that we can have. Congratulations, guys. This is such a big deal.
Thank you so much.